Hello, fourth graders, it's Miss Leon. We are going to be beginning our next writing unit called the literary essay, where we will be writing an essay on a fictional storybook. We have done work before in writing essays, except last time we wrote essays that are based on an opinion or on a persuasive piece where you are trying to convince another person to lean toward your opinion or maybe change their mind. When writing about a book or writing a literary essay, you make a claim about an element in the story. And when you write that claim, you cite reasons to support that claim. We typically get those reasons from across the text. So not just from one part of the text, but our claim should be rooted in something that carries over and ideas from across the entire text. To be able to successfully write a literary essay, it is important for you to pay close attention to the details in the story, so that way you can really know what you are talking about in your literary essay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the, or just pictures of our book, Fox. We are anchoring our learning with the mentor text box. We have read this before, but we are going to continue to go back to this text to keep looking for details to help us support our thinking. So without further ado, we are going to be looking at a portion of the book Fox. In this portion, we are going to be really focusing in on some important details that kind of give us some unusual words that make us think in a different way about some of the characters possibly, and help us build a claim. In order to do this though, you will need to be a wide awake reader. This is not the kind of reading that you would do if you were just kind of flipping through a magazine or looking at something on TikTok or going through YouTube videos. You need to be very focused on the details and paying close attention and just be wide awake. So let's go ahead and look deeper into this text. I'm going to start reading some pieces of the story, and I want you to kind of look for moments or details that maybe might pop out to us as important. So at the beginning, it says, through the charred forest over hot ash runs dog with a bird clamped in his big, gentle mouth. He takes her to his cave above the river, and there he tries to tend to her burnt wing. So I'm going to kind of pause there, and I am just kind of being like, you know, a little bit alerted, if you will, to some details that stand out to me. And what is kind of standing out to me is the fact that they are talking about dog's mouth, and they are referring to his mouth as a gentle mouth. And why that kind of, you know, gives me some alarms is that when I think of dogs and I think of dogs' mouths, I don't always think of dogs' mouths as being gentle. To me, dogs' mouths are a little bit intimidating and a little bit scary. And the reason why I find them intimidating and scary is because dogs have teeth, sharp teeth. So I find it interesting that when the author is talking about dog, the author is mentioning how dog's mouth is big but gentle. So here are some sentence stems that you can use to help you push these thoughts that you may have about your characters or the plot or the theme, anything of the sort. So I'll just read a few examples. Is I see and then you give the example, and then to add on, and then you push that even more. Or you could say, in other words, or that is, or the important thing about this is, and you can read for yourself through this list of sentence stems that you could use to help you push your thinking. I do want to mention, however, that this is not the only sentence stems that you can use to help push your thinking. This only gives you kind of like an idea of what you could be using to help you further your thoughts. To start us off with this, I'm going to use the sentence prompt I see. That dog's mouth is called gentle, even though dogs have sharp teeth and use their mouths to eat other animals. I'm going to go ahead and add another thought prompt to this to help expand my thinking. The thought I have about this is, even though dogs' mouths are made to bite other animals, this dog uses his mouth in a different way. And remember, I said all of this stuff already. Now I'm just transferring what I said into writing on paper, but I'm still not done. I can still expand my thinking even further. To add on, to describe dog carrying bird in that mouth. He is saving her life instead of eating her. He is a caring kind of dog. I want you to think about, I have said all of this verbally in my mouth, but I took what I said and I transferred those thoughts into paper. It is about a page long. Yes, I have skipped lines, but I have extended those verbal thoughts into something that I can put on the page. So to push past that part of the learning and to make sure that I am really paying attention, and if I hadn't, I would have missed the part where they were describing dog's mouth as being gentle. Something that I would like you to think a little bit more about is, we can shift our thinking a little bit further in the text and start looking maybe at other details. Going back, it says he takes her to his cave above the river, and there he tries to tend to her burnt wing. But Magpie does not want his help. I will never again be able to fly, she whispers. I know, says Dog. He is silent for a moment and then says, I'm blind in one eye, but life is still good. An eye is nothing, says Magpie. How would you feel if you couldn't run? Dog does not answer. Magpie drags her body into the shadow of the rocks until she feels herself melting into the blackness. So I would like to think about this and then kind of coach ourselves into using some of our sentence stems, the ways to push our thinking, and so that way we can go a little bit further into our thoughts about Magpie and what she is saying and what her character is showing us in this story. What sentence stems can you use? What thoughts can you extend when you were thinking about these words that Magpie said? Remember, she said something to the effect, she said, I will never be able to fly again. And as she said that, she's whispering it almost under her breath. She could have screamed it. She could have shouted it, but instead she whispered it. As we are deciding and how we're going to build our literary essay, is it important for you to grow your ideas about a text by using thought prompts. That doesn't mean that you can only use the prompts in that list. You can use other prompts that you come up with, but it is important for you to use those prompts so that way you can extend your thinking and explain more of your thoughts.